Hey, good evening. It is 6:30 and I'm going to call the meeting to order. TJ, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Best.
Present.
Mrs. Davis.
Present.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Present.
Ms. Harless.
Present.
Mrs. Hudson.
Present.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to our Wednesday, November 12th Board of Education meeting. My name is Kelly Davis. I'm this year's board president. To my left is board member Nikki Hudson, board vice president Amber Epling Skinner, our treasurer TJ Cusick, and to my right is superintendent Dr. Trent Bowers, board member Stephanie Harless, and board member Jennifer Best. If you're able, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I please have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or changes to the agenda? Okay, TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, now an exciting time. It's a very exciting time. First, I'm going to ask for a motion to recognize the Thomas Worthington High School girls field hockey team for winning their fourth consecutive state championship.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Motion carries. I am going to turn it over to board member Jennifer Best for the recognition.
Okay. As you all know, some of you have been here 4 years in a row now. This is always our very favorite time of the meeting to get to honor our students. So if all of the team members and any of their coaches that might be here would come on up front, we are going to crowd right up front here. You are here today because on a very recent Saturday afternoon, Thomas Worthington won the 2025 Ohio High School Athletic Association State Field Hockey Championship. Yay! Four straight championships. We are so sorry your coach, Terry Simonetti Frost, could not be here this evening. Is Coach Campbell here? Okay, you look like one of the kids. So glad you can be here. I'm hoping that you will join me and brag a little bit about this team's season and especially the seniors on the team. So on behalf of the Board of Education, once again, I would like to offer you a very hearty congratulations, ladies. Your excellence just continues to amaze us. And I am going to turn it over to Coach Campbell.
Thank you so much for having us tonight. It's always an honor to be recognized, and we truly appreciate your support each year. We are incredibly proud of this team, especially our 7 seniors who helped lead our team to an unprecedented 4 consecutive state championships. Their achievements on the field are remarkable, but even more impressive is who they are as people. extremely hardworking, humble, outstanding role models to our younger players. We also want to thank our parents and families. Your support, encouragement, and commitment behind the scenes made this journey possible. Our underclassmen have embraced the high standards set before them, and they show up every day ready to work and ready to carry the torch. The future of Thomas Worthington Field Hockey is very bright. Thank you again for recognizing us tonight.
You're welcome. And could we go ahead and have our parents stand up so we can thank you? We know it's a big commitment and encouragement on your parts. And we have certificates for all the girls. Let me give them to you if you could get them passed out to the girls. Thank you. You go one more time for this amazing group.
Congratulations again, ladies. That's an amazing accomplishment. So, all right. We are going to move on to visitor comments. Do we have any? Okay. Then we are actually going to move on to a construction update on the natatorium and the high school.
Things that are days and weeks away. So it's coming to a close, and a lot of exciting things are happening. And actually, Josh left, but tomorrow he gets to push open the door to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, because the core of the building, Area C we call it, is very exciting. I'm going to start with the natatorium. It's complete, and I know kids are using it. It's beautiful. I want to talk a little bit about how we got here, and talk about how, now that we've arrived, it is everything we'd hoped it would be. The city told us this is the gateway building to the city of Worthington, and of course it is the first major building you see as you come off 315, but it's certainly part of a campus of lots and lots of buildings, and certainly anchoring this site. And now that the front of the building is exposed in itself, and we're looking at what we drive by every day, it is everything we had hoped for, and the natatorium fits perfectly in that scheme. As we finish the work that is left behind from tearing down the old natatorium, we're into that parking lot on the north side. That red box is the area we're working in. We are literally paving next week and into the end of November. We'll do final grading around the grass areas in early December, and we'll plant seed and straw in mid-December. Now, of course, because we're days and hours away from some of these things, one bad weather day could push us one bad day. But these are things that are all close, and there's not a lot of hours left. We just don't know the exact date, because things happen that will affect that on a daily basis. So this is the north side of the new natatorium, where the old natatorium was. This picture was taken on Sunday, and since then, all of the concrete curbs and sidewalks have been poured, and they're spreading gravel around for the asphalt that'll go here. So it's moving rapidly. We can't keep up with pictures, because things get cleaned when I move from one side of the building to the other, and they look better again. So that's the view as you come in, and this is how it turned out. Again, no surprises, exactly what we hoped for. I like the way it sits up high as you come up the hill, and it kind of obscures Thomas until you get around the trees, and then it's a big reveal to the front of the high school. So I think it fits the campus very well in terms of the way it's worked out. As you come in, we were originally talking about a 8-lane pool and a 16,000 square foot building. This has grown into a 10-lane pool and a 21,000 square foot building. And again, it was all good things. We learned a lot from the student teams. We learned a lot from the coaches. And we learned a lot from Swim Inc. And Kurt Carmen was a part of all of our meetings and gave us a lot of ideas about making the pool as flexible as we could. So the 10-lane pool, you think, do you need 10 lanes for every swim meet? And that's not exactly what we were doing. We actually have 8 competition lanes for swim meets, but we have dedicated diving wells. We have dedicated water polo space. We have lots more deck space around the building. We have all of the student support space back of house and in the locker rooms, more than we had in the old building. And that's where that priority for that square footage went. This is a view from the crow's nest. So this is kind of the control point up on the higher level, but looking down at the starting blocks and across, obviously, to the big scoreboard. This is a view from the public seating area. And again, the 8 competition lanes have good view from up here. The first 2 lanes don't, but we didn't need that because of the way we organized the pool. This is the total layout. You can see the pool takes up maybe 2/3 of the square footage of this facility, but there is a lot of supporting facilities, again, that support the swim team, that support Swim Inc., and support state-of-the-art filtration systems and state-of-the-art water quality control and all the things that happen in a school like this or in a pool like this. So this reminds me when I was a swimmer in high school and Cleveland State opened a new pool and they discovered the depth of the pool had an amazing impact on the quality of swim in lower times. And the things that they did in that pool, we've been copying for a couple decades now. And this is, I think, the next one. And I think it's better than the more recent pools around the central Ohio area because we had the opportunity to do some things that we learned from those. These are the bullet points that we went through after we had worked with all the design teams. We ended up with that 10-lane, 25-yard pool. It is a multi-depth pool. It has flexible activities. We were going to make it all deep, but we were talked into by Swim Inc. into making a shallow lane so there can be swim training and swim teaching for people who are learning to swim. Then we transitioned through a second lane and we get to the deep lanes where there are 8 deep lanes with starting blocks. There's a shallow lane for the training. There's a full-depth water polo competition area, and the entire water polo course is in deep water. And then 2 1-meter diving boards that are in the deepest water. This is something that's different than some of the other Central Ohio pools. All the activities are parallel to spectator seating. So we play water polo across the pool, you swim across the pool, and you dive into the pool parallel to the seating. So we were excited about that. And then we went to the best possible timing systems and multifunction display systems that we could find for the pool of this era. This is where the wheels kind of left the runway. When we were all done talking about the configuration and number of lanes, we ended up, and I watched this happen at the old natatorium where swimmers would swim, then they'd pull the lane lines out and they'd flip down diving boards and then divers would dive, then they'd flip the diving boards back up and water polo kids would do water polo. In this pool, they can all do their activities at the same time. We have 6 swim team lanes, we have a half-court water polo course, and we have the 2 diving wells in this pool. 2 lane lines, and we have 3 different pools here. And this is how we can all get home sooner at night because of the water activities being able to be simultaneous. So that was a big outcome of the design input that we got from everybody. And then there's the 8 competition lanes, all in deep water. I expect all of the swim team records to get broken when this pool gets into use. And then Emily, I think, is going to talk about something about the pool.
Good evening. So just as a reminder, Worthington has contracted with Swim Inc. To run our pools. And Swim Inc. is not a new organization. It's actually been with Worthington for 70 years or over 70 years, and it was created for the purpose of running pools in Worthington. It is a nonprofit, community-run organization run by a board of directors of community members and 2 members of our school district, Tim Gearing and me. So often Monday nights we'll have board meetings and you don't see Tim and me because we are representing the school district with Swim Inc. Swim Inc. employs a staff including a director, swim instructors, and others who oversee pool operations for both the school district and for the community. So when we talk about how this pool is used, we, of course, have many aquatics programs within Worthington. So when you think about our 2 high schools, both Worthington-Kilbourne High School and Thomas Worthington High School host boys and girls water polo in the fall, and we just wrapped up those seasons. And then in the winter, we have boys and girls swimming and boys and girls diving. Those programs practice before and after school, and they host their own meets, their own games, and then tournament events. So this winter, after the conclusion of our season, we will host the OCC tournament at our pool. If you are wondering about community use of the pool, Lap swimming and Masters water polo and Masters swimming are available to the community. If you're not familiar with Masters swimming, it is adult swimming for people over the age of 18 out of high school with workouts that focus on speed, endurance, and technique. It's no joke. If you ever want to watch that, it's pretty impressive to watch adults who are still actively swimming like our high school swim teams do. The pool also hosts water aerobics and water fitness classes. They're currently offering Silver Sneakers, Silver Splash for senior citizens in the community. They also offer group and private swim lessons. And of course, the natatorium and swimming are the host to Worthington Swim Club, which is the swim team that's available for our elementary and middle school students. And then finally, there are training and certification courses offered through Swim Inc. at the pool, and that helps certify people to be lifeguards, water instructors, or swim instructors. And they also offer babysitter, American Red Cross babysitter training. So with that, I will turn it back over to Mr. Dingledine.
So moving on to Thomas. I always start with this image of the footprint that we had from the old Thomas and the inability to do some of the things near the building that we wanted to, and the new design footprint, which was much larger square footage, but much more compact, which allowed us to do new varsity baseball and softball around the building. It allowed us to do the pool. It allows us to get more parking in places where there used to be buildings. So all that's starting to avail itself. We're getting to the very last piece. When I was here in March, the red areas were our construction looking forward. We had the natatorium going on. We had some laydown area in the parking lot, and we had most of the center core of the building under construction. We had the green existing gyms, new academic wing, and the old piece of Thomas that we were using for swing space all in work. But everything else was in red. As we sit here today in October, we're in all the green space, and we're starting to close out the orange spaces that are finishing construction for the natatorium, finishing that laydown area, and moving to our last piece, which is the auditorium and the music wing. So they have had to be our most patient customers in terms of this project. But we will be right away starting to look at taking down the old swing space from the old Thomas, and we'll be able then to start finishing parking lots and driveways and access points, and obviously fine arts with the next phase. So the back of the building is now, coming into itself. All the structure is done. We're creating the outdoor student common space behind the indoor student common space. We are finishing up both baseball and softball fields, turf infields, very cool. And we're putting the final sod areas down this week for the baseball field, and softball is just about done as well. So those fields will be playable in March. Here's where that wall has been in the front door as you walk into Thomas, and that's going to get pushed down tomorrow, or it may already be. But as you see, this is going to extend into the real building and how it was related and expected to be. So very exciting. You're seeing all the way through to the outdoor student commons as you stand here at the front door of the new Thomas. You'll pass the art alley. That's all finished, and all the access into those spaces is done and useful because of all the things that are going in and out of them. We're moving 3 big art rooms from the old building to the new building, and this will be the way we'll get those things there. This is the intersection of High Street and Main Street. North and south, you have student academics and student commons. East-west, you have athletics and fine arts. So this is the center of the building. It is ground zero and a very beautiful spot with the daylight coming down from the top. And my wife Cindy got a call at 9 o'clock Wednesday night. They were just finishing cutting this into the LVT. And the guys who did it were so excited and so proud of it, they called my wife to say, don't you like this, and won't you do more of this? They love it when they get to do some things that are really, really high end and something that is usually just laying down planks of LVT. So it turned out great. It looks beautiful. You can see it from up high like this, but you can also walk over it on the lower level. This is what I was waiting for. This is the reveal I think is the coolest part. We worked very hard to bring the best part of Kilbourne to Thomas. And so now they both have improved because now they both have these huge 2-story spaces with great daylight. They have a direct relationship to their media center, and they have a direct relationship now to an outdoor, secure outdoor student commons. So this is a beautiful space. It sounds good. The furniture's been moving around every time I've taken a picture because they're cleaning the floor and then moving. So it's got its final location probably set already for tomorrow. But it just turned out beautiful. The accents are limited, but they're there, and you can see them in the furniture, in a little bit of floor patterns, but definitely in the branding and the logos. There's a lower space tucked under the media center. What we are trying to do is say every student can find a space in this building where they can thrive and they can connect with other students. Sometimes it's going to be at these high tables. Sometimes it's going to be in benches. Sometimes it's going to be out in the high space. Sometimes it's going to be upstairs in the media center. But we want all these different spaces to feel like different places for kids to find their space. And so we're in love with this space, and you're starting to see out the left the outdoor commons getting finished. That is going to be very exciting space too at both high schools, and it turned out great. This is the second floor of the Oculus above the Cardinal, and this is the entrance into the media center. And so it also overlooks the student commons, and that connection is made. There's a definite direct stair that gets you up there. You can see in the background there. And in there, you've got the more traditional media center type of space, but again, lots of different furniture solutions and lots of different places, including very private rooms where kids can work in small groups and still be monitored and supervised, but get their opportunity to thrive in their kind of space. All refresh of all the locker rooms. We kept those wings of the building. They were well designed, and now they're back to looking new and fresh again. So we're happy to see how all that has turned out in terms of supporting the athletic wing of the building. Administrative reception areas, again, branding is in there, color is in there. I like the warm wood here in terms of how it welcomes people in. This is Molly inspecting the logo that was sewn into the grass, into the turf of a baseball field and softball field. So again, very exciting. These are going to be first-rate places, and again, a big improvement for Thomas, so much so that we've been asked to start looking at some of this for Kilbourne. So back to this, the bottom is the status of where we are. We are phase 1 complete, phase 2 complete, and we're really wrapping up phase 3. The main competition locker rooms are done. The baseball and softball fields are finishing now. They'll be playable and safely playable in March for spring season to start. The theater and music and band areas are right now. Next week, there's a big meeting with all the subs in Racine to talk about how to execute that in the best and most efficient way possible. And then as that building on the right, the leftover parts of Thomas comes down, we will be putting the new parking lot in there and have a new fine arts entrance to Thomas High School. And then next summer, just because it's the final things we have to do to clean things back up, we'll replace the laydown areas with new paving. We will have completed parking lots. We'll put the auxiliary gym back as a gym because it has been our swing space for music for 2 years now. That'll all happen, and then we'll see the front yard back to the way we all expect it to be, all grass. And then our last reveal, I'll probably be here in spring again. We'll be looking at the music rooms and the auditorium being finished, and that's very exciting. A very cool building, gets lots and lots of calls from people. Did you have anything to do with that? And I said, I like to say I did, and so did all those people that you see sitting in this room. It's a big deal to us. We're very proud of it. Kilbourne. Again, Kilbourne was a great school. It had some great features that we copied for Thomas. We just made a few corrections. We moved the media center where the offices were so we could have that same continuum of student thriving space, indoor, outdoor, quiet media center, coffee shop feel, all of it. And that all happens in that east-west axis between the courtyard and the ravine. We corrected some classrooms on the second floor where we put classrooms on outdoor walls. We put a lot more technology spaces in the building. And we put all new administrative spaces in the building because of the switch with the media center. Again, the last pieces of construction that we're doing are the 3 additions, the physical additions to the building. I'll talk about in a minute. We did 8 phases. We talked about doing really heavy summers for maybe 4, maybe 5 years, and in 2.5, 3 years, we're going to have this project finished. It took a lot of cooperation. It took a lot of adaptation, both on the part of the contractors, but also on students and teachers and Eric and the staff at Kilbourne. They were great to work with. We are in phase 8. It's the last numbered phase. It's all the pink areas, the Aux Gym, the media center, the refresh of the auditorium, and the student services offices across the front. Those are all being completed now as we speak. And the 3 areas that started with 2, but they're actually additions, are all on that left side. I think this will show, yes. So we have the music addition in the foreground. You can see the outdoor student commons, and you can see the addition to the athletic space. Those are the three pieces that are getting finished in this final phase. This was a great idea. It came from the students and the staff at Kilbourne, and we loved it so much we took it to the students and the staff at Thomas, and now it's going to be at both schools. A little different execution, one above the ravine, the other one in just the back of the student commons, but both of those places are going to have this feeling of indoor-outdoor space that is going to be very, very different, even from Kilbourne. The construction has gone well. We had a lot of ravine protection requirements. We will see all the heavy equipment now out of there. We've got the waterproof membrane roof on this patio now, and these piles of brick you see here, they're pavers. They're going to be the final finish paving for the floor that goes over that waterproof membrane. So this is going to be a huge outdoor space, and it's going to have the most beautiful view of the ravine and an opportunity for every kid in this school to enjoy. This is the Ox Gym. This is the base resilient coat that gets poured down below the plane surface. It's now down, and this is coming to a completion. We have some locker room refresh going on around this in this wing, in this phase 8 as well. Music is still underway, and the music areas in the existing part of the building are pretty close. This is the Black Box Theater, all new lighting, all new sound, all new ceiling grid, about 80% more space, and obviously a lot of new seating and configurations will come when this opens up. This is the addition for the athletics, wrestling, and weight combination. It's all in the end of the Ox Gym. And this is the area of the music addition. The foundations are in today, I think. Is that right, Colin? Yep. We had to keep this open so we could get to the ravine and get to the bridge, but now that heavy work is done, this is all hands on deck, go as fast as we can. And then we are completely refreshing the auditorium. There's no seats, there's no carpet, there's no curtain, there's no new lighting yet. So people have gotten a little worried that it's a bit plain, but there's a lot more stuff coming to make it look like it did before, and obviously have a lot of new finishes and a lot of new textures. So that's a look at the site plan. And again, we have a little project in a memorial walkway up at the northwest corner of the building. I think Randy Banks had something to do starting that before he left. And then we have been asked to look at, and we are just in the study phase now of looking at doing the things to the baseball and softball that we did at Thomas. So things in terms of equity will never be closer than when these two buildings get finished. So here's our, again, days. End of November, that's about 14 days from now. Auxiliary gym. Auditorium, December 1st, that's 15 days from now. Looking good, but again, when we're talking days and hours, we don't know what, we don't know yet, but we think we're in good shape. And then for a Christmas present, you're going to get your weight room, balcony terrace, and media center on December 24th. Oh, and as well as the front student services offices. Ox Gym is going to be spring, getting all the team rooms and training rooms and locker rooms done. And the music addition will be also spring. And I said the Memorial Plaza, it's also in their spring. So this is coming to a close. Everything's coming together, and we're excited about it. One of the things Trent had us look at was getting some branding identification on the front of the Kilbourne, especially the tower for the stage over the auditorium. So if you can see, I got a little close-up picture. We're looking at some block letters that might be up high on the wall, really large scale, and maybe something that actually is backlit, so they'll be kind of dramatic at night. And again, we're just studying it at this point, but we are looking at it. We are under budget on this entire project and this entire bond issue, and that's really good news because a lot of things happened in the last 3 years, but we're feeling good about it. So there is a little room to look at some of these extras that we're talking about. And that's all we're doing at this point is talking about it. So I'll stop there with questions and discussion from any of you.
Thank you for that presentation. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Dingledine or Emily? Go ahead.
I'll start with expressing gratitude as well. Very, very exciting. My understanding is that tomorrow the
Yep.
students will go into the
Right.
additional space at Thomas, which is wonderful. As a parent at Thomas, I would just like to ask that we continue to look at drop-off and pickup. And we continue to have one drop-off and pickup space. I know we talked about theoretically they're leaving the option for consideration later on because that driveway in the front of the building goes all the way through to Evening Street. What I don't know, because it has yet to be constructed, is whether or not the parking lot and the area at what is being called the Fine Arts entrance provides for any alternative drop-off pickup.
It certainly can. That's really up to Josh and how you sort of see it and you feel it, but it has a curb and a sidewalk that goes the entire length of the east side of the school, and that could involve some kind of additional drop-off opportunities. I think once the whole school is open and you have total circumference traffic around it, it'll change everything.
Makes sense.
And again,
we'll have a better sense.
You're
for what's
fighting the
needed.
hardest things in the interim, that construction has closed off half the site, but we're getting there and it's starting to open up.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Sorry to interrupt. No, that makes complete sense. Like, what we're feeling right now is not how the traffic ultimately is
Correct.
going to flow. So once we get it completely open is when we can make an evaluation there. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. First of all, second, thank you for being under budget. I think the entire district wants to thank you for that.
That's these guys.
It's amazing. Thank you to the entire team for being under budget.
Kept it pencil sharp.
You mentioned the memorial walkway at
Kilbourne.
At Kilbourne, yes. At one point, there was one that was contemplated, the walkway at Thomas that goes from the field over to the athletic entrance.
Yeah.
Is that still?
It's still a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah, makes some sense.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thanks, Kelly.
Amber, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Thank you for the presentation. I've been looking forward to this update for months, and just seeing some of it in real time. I was in Thomas yesterday. We were there yesterday for the vibe check and seeing some of the changes. I'm in Kilbourne a good bit, having my daughters there. So just some feedback that I'll give you just as a parent, the traffic flow at Kilbourne, the additional parking out front is noticeable.
Good.
And, I know the back is
Yeah.
still a mess, but definitely feel, the improvements out front. And so definitely am excited for that. Excited for the auditorium to maybe be online. I have a daughter who's in the band, and so they have the big Home for the Holidays show. And the email that came out from the band directors, definitely caution that we might be moving locations if it's not on time. But
Well, he's optimistic and I'm optimistic.
Yes,
but we just have to see. And we'll have a few days warning if we can't pull it off.
Yeah, no, that would be wonderful to have that show there. Also super excited about the signage on the front. That was one
Good.
thing that I mentioned last time, that it's kind of just always bugged me about that great big rectangle. So excited for that. The administrative offices at Kilbourne are incredible too. We had a vibe check that, I think I was with you on that one, that we all met there, and just the use of the green space and the natural light
Right.
is such a game changer for, those rooms, and it just feels so much more open, and it's really wonderful. A couple questions I had. So during football season, and maybe this was just because construction, is there going to be lighting in that breezeway that walks back to the field? It was just really dark for a lot of the season, and I didn't know if that was because of construction. I didn't remember it being really dark.
Well, yeah. If there's anything that's been temporarily shut off because of construction, that certainly comes back. I don't know if we're upgrading the lights under there with new lights, but I'll find that out, because that is very important for Friday nights.
Yeah, no, I didn't remember it ever being that dark before, so maybe that was just me, but it was very, very dark this year. And another thing, we had a situation at Kilbourne where we, learned that some of the doors weren't latching, and, things like that. So just want to make sure that we're keeping safety in mind throughout this process. I know it's an active construction site at all of our venues here, but, we also have students in the building, we also have teachers and staff, and it's just critical that, we're just ever mindful of all of those things constantly, that we're
And
keeping these buildings as
That
safe as possible.
Couldn't
all
be
the
more
time.
important that you say
Yes.
that. And I think I learned today that Rensselaer has a full-time person walking around checking hardware, making sure it's latching, making sure the key fobs are working, doing those kind of things, and resetting where they're not. And I know that's not instantaneous, but we are following it and, every lead to a complete, safe door. So
And
we get
making
it.
sure the
And we don't
Centrigics-
disagree, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
system is still operational.
Right,
and
right.
Yes, okay.
And we're even upgrading pieces of Thomas that were put in for the front wing because they're not compatible with what's coming now today for the back wing. So we're even upgrading those things
Great.
directly.
That's great to hear. And I think that's all I had on my list. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Yes.
And I echo the thanks to everybody that has been involved in this project. It is a big deal to be this far in and be under budget, like a big deal. So thank you to everybody that touched this. I just have one really simple question. Can you go back to the timeline slide on Thomas?
Yes.
And you may have answered this and I just missed it. So, what is the theater, music, and band room areas updated schedule study?
What does that mean?
Yes.
That's what I said to these guys today. They're meeting literally this week with
Okay.
all their subs to set that schedule and to set the knowns and the unknowns now that
Okay.
the walls have just come down on, 30,000 square feet of Thomas. So it's all hands on deck and it's focused. I'm saying spring, but I know they can't give you March 22nd today.
No,
But
that's
what
okay.
we-
I just wanted a clarification
Yeah.
on what that meant to make sure.
Yeah,
was
I wish
understanding.
I hadn't had to put that on there, but we're just waiting for that meeting for those guys to tell us how this all lays out.
And when does the kind of the front temporary paved area get reseeded?
That's no later than this summer, but I think we're doing most of that putback this summer after school's out. We'll take
Okay.
all the temporary gravel and out. We'll put all the grass back.
Okay.
All the beds and all the plantings for all the four sides for all the parking lots will be done this summer.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, and I'm just going to repeat the gratitude. I'm so glad so many of you could be here that worked on the project because we really appreciate you, all the hard work. Working with students in the building and education going on is quite a challenge, and you did it on time and under budget, and we're very grateful. So just a big thank you to everybody.
And none of that happens without your side of the equation. TJ watched the dollars. He kept us
Yep.
honest. And Trent was very transparent about what we needed to do and what we needed to communicate, and that has helped us at every step of the way.
Thank you. So, of course, thank everyone that is part of the project, and thank you for this presentation and the timeline. As much as I feel like I see it, it's just always helpful to be reminded of when spaces are going to be done, because this is so very layered. Will we get this slideshow presentation
Yep.
emailed to us?
Yeah, Jeff
Okay.
has the final version from tonight in his hand, so
Okay.
he can send it out.
Perfect. I do have a couple of questions. One, thank you for the natatorium update from both you and Emily. Have you gotten feedback from water polo families now that teams have been in there? One of our teams almost won a state championship as a result, Have you gotten positive or we can do better feedback? Or I've heard nothing but excitement.
Well, and it's so new and so exciting to go to something that new. It's all about the water quality, the performance quality, and the number of kids that can take advantage of water sports in this district because of a pool with that much flexibility. I mean, a 6-lane pool you had before was a very nice feature, and most school districts in Ohio don't have that. So you already had that, but it was a very difficult combination of ways to get more kids, opportunities in the water. And this pool really focused on that.
I do love that, like that you had the 6 lanes and then the water polo section and then
Yeah.
the diving section.
And
I mean, just,
that wasn't me. I was a swimmer. That was Kurt Carmen, and it was the folks in the district. The coaches all sat and said, look what we do between every practice and how long it takes us to get through all these practices. And so we worked hard to get away from that.
the collaboration is something that I feel like from the district standpoint, from everyone that's involved, from the construction standpoint, architecture standpoint, just people, everyone has their different level of subject matter expert, and bringing that all together is just making it so much beneficial for each space that you've taken time for. I got to get a little sneak peek at the Thomas new area.
Oh, good.
And it's beautiful. Just to be able to see it, obviously we've seen it online, you've seen slideshows of it, but then to see it come alive is really pretty cool. And it came up in one of our student feedback sessions about, the things that are now going to be central to that building and how they'll be so accessible for students. So got to really see that space, and I love the variety of seating in the common area, high seating, low seating, couches, hard chairs, like, wherever you want to be. And then obviously the outdoor space is really great. So I really liked seeing that. For Kilbourne, that outdoor space, it's kind of hard to see on that. How high is that wall? So I'm nervous about the ravine.
I know. Will freshmen go over the edge? I get that asked to me before. It's a guardrail height, so it's 44 inches high. It's, a regular handrail height that's 32 inches. So this is much higher than that. And for the most part, it isn't that high above the ground. When you get right to the center of the ravine, it's probably 24, 25 feet. So that's not safe, but it isn't, that distance isn't, but that guardrail is really going to be safe.
Okay. That's awesome.
No different than a mall.
I was just like, what? My last question is about restrooms in Thomas, and then I guess questions about restrooms in Kilbourne, about the distance of walking. And so that's one thing I didn't have time or make
Right.
time for when I was there yesterday of looking. I've experienced having to walk all the way
Yes.
to the other end of the building to use the restroom. And just now that new space is open, does it make it more
Correct.
accessible for people
That's
to get
been
to?
the
and-
unexpected or unintended consequence of opening the front building and just having the toilets in the middle there and just a small number in the middle there. Once we open the building, there's 9 more of those full-size restrooms.
Okay.
And they're larger, and they have internal handicapped stalls in the restrooms, and they have the private unisex adult changing, handicap restrooms as well. Because when you get near assembly things like gyms and commons areas, it's a very different bathroom than when you're in a classroom wing. But every student at Thomas has been using bathrooms intended just for the classroom wing. And there's, 6 other restrooms that they've never had access to that they will now.
Okay, that's wonderful to hear.
It'll change a lot of, because I'm sure it's been hard because there's no way those restrooms were intended to support 1,200 kids for their entire day.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate everyone here that has had a hand in this, and thank you again for coming to update.
Absolutely.
I look forward to the next one.
Okay.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the first reading of the Neola policy updates and special update. So I'm going to turn it over to the policy committee.
Do you want to divide this one? How do you want to do this one?
Do you want to, we get it, I don't think we're going to have.
There's not a
ton
whole
of
lot.
Discussion, if you just want to kick it.
I'll kick it off and,
Yeah, sure.
okay, great.
Yep.
So, and I guess I just want to thank again Tracy. She always does such a nice job of summarizing, and that's actually what sets us up for a need for a lack of robust discussion related to these, other than we all should take the time to go through them in detail. But that's where Stephanie and I have obviously done the beginning of the work there, and these are our recommendations. So you can see in Tracy's summary that with 2266, and these are robust, like these are long portions of our policy and complex portions, but some of this is necessitated due to changes in definitions and other related regulations. I will point out in 2266, although you will see this when you review it, we did choose not to remove the term sexual orientation and gender identity, and we did run that by our council.
Yep.
So we are good with keeping those in this particular policy. And then the next section of, it's 3 different ones, and again, because we have sections of our policy that deal with certified staff, our students, and why am I blanking on the other? Classified, thank you very much. And so these are the analogous or similar portions of the policy related to anti-harassment and non-discrimination for each of those groups of individuals. And Neola essentially rescinded a number of policies and attempted to put it all together. And when they did that, really the only thing that we found when we were looking at the rest of our policies, and I think actually Stephanie found this, was that there was a reference in one of them to breastfeeding that wasn't in the others. And we had just recently adopted that in another policy. So we went back and pulled that language out and made it analogous in all three of these so that those rights are seamless throughout those three groups and expressed in the same manner. As makes sense, right? Like you don't have to get out of class if you're a teacher or whatnot. So, and then the second portion is, actually, let me just pause there. And there are 5 policies that were mere technical corrections that because we recently passed the new policy that allows our administration to make those technical corrections without bringing those policies to the board, that those are the reason those aren't included. So let me pause there on the non-discrimination update. Any questions for the two of us?
I have a question. I think a couple questions. Let me look at my notes. For 2266, so the first one, and how in the beginning it talks about enrollment versus admission. And I know that throughout, I think it's this one, that throughout you used enrollment and not admission.
Correct.
But it says, I wrote it down. I thought I wrote it down. So it says applied enrollment. And do families have to apply to enroll, or do you just enroll? Because it's not as though we can say, oh, here it is.
What?
Let me see where I underlined it. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So I'm looking at page 6, I don't know if it's the same for you, at the top of page 6. It says the superintendent shall notify applicants for enrollment. And it says that at the same thing at the bottom, available to applicants for enrollment. And I know that seems small, but that does kind of seem as though people are applying to public education and that they're not applying, are they? It may not make a difference. I'm just asking a question.
No, it's a valid question. And Stephanie, for us, it's on, I think, page 5. It is right underneath the, where we had Jeff and Angie, and then we're using generic email addresses.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
Very good.
I guess it jumped out at me because how they're trying to attach things to higher education, which it does include admissions. And so when you're talking about K-12 public education, it's just enrollment. There isn't an application process, maybe unless it's a program that we have. I'm thinking maybe like a Phoenix or something like that. So I don't want it to get looped in as though it is an admission. And so then, of course, well, it's an admission because someone had to apply. Again, it might be small, but I just want to be mindful that maybe in between just whether it would make a difference or not, that's up to you guys.
I don't know that there's any legal reason that it has to be there.
No, but it does also, application or applicants also modifies for employment.
Yeah.
So we would just have to, I think,
Yep. So
completely fine. We just have
it would
to,
have to be the superintendent shall notify students upon enrollment and applicants for employment or something like that, right?
Again, it may be small, it felt like it would just open up to that admissions piece of it, which I think there is a differentiation between admissions and enrollment when it comes to K-12 public education.
if you're amenable, why don't we just take it away and digest it and figure out if there's another way to state that?
Okay.
The only way I say that versus trying to do it off the cuff here is also because the rest of that sentence goes on to talk about students, parents, or legal guardians of those students. And I think if we just say students at the very beginning, it's not going to flow with the latter part of
Yeah, I
that
think you're right.
sentence. So we can wordsmith and see what we can come up with. And then what we'd probably do also, and we can let you guys know where it impacts it, is just look for other language throughout that has that similar structure to
So
see
I-
if there's anything that.
Yeah, and I just wonder if they just picked that whole piece up for all.
They did. They picked up
Similar.
admission and just
Yeah.
put in enrollment is what they did. You're totally
Yeah,
right.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and sorry to jump in, but so that's what I'm confused about, because on page 1, there's a drafting note, and I'm confused. Is that our drafting note? Is that the
Theirs.
policy?
Theirs.
So that's theirs, because it says in that page 1 drafting note that they're going to change enroll to admission, because it outlines, like, since K through 12 schools, what Kelly was just saying, that you
Yeah.
can't discriminate. So, I don't know. It
Well,
seems like
so
in the edits-
maybe we need both, because I guess if that's specific to post-secondary, we do have that option in specific places, so we may
For-
need both.
College credit plus, you mean? Okay.
Summer school and things like that. Is that what you're thinking
So I
about,
think
or-
I think we may need both.
Okay.
Thanks for catching that, Amber.
Yep. So prior to our second reading, we can come back with
Yeah.
some tweaks on that.
So, I mean, I don't have an opposition to changing it. I also don't think that including enrollment makes our admission process, it doesn't change anything legally anywhere else. Right? So like, I don't think it undermines anything else that we do. So,
I think it would just be a preference issue. Yeah.
yeah.
And I should have used sticky notes thank you for that. I just, my other question is for the next grouping, that starts with 1422.
Okay.
And I should have used Post-it notes to mark where I have my question, because I see that you have put titles instead of individual names in the blue section. And then there's a section that has Jeff Maddox's name. Okay, here it is. So for me, it's page 8 of this 1422. And forgive me, so this was the second, 21-page policy I was reading, and I was trying to get clarification of just, do we need to leave Jeff's name there for a reason? There had to be a reason.
So we went back and forth with, I think we did discuss this several times, because we're all very sensitive to the idea that we will have to change, we don't want to change things when we don't have to. But I think we decided that we wanted actual names in the policy, so that if somebody were to go directly to the policy, we will link the policy on the website, all of those things. They had an actual name to attach to the compliance officers. So that was kind of where we went with that, and we just need to remember to change it if somebody leaves or somebody else becomes a compliance officer.
Okay.
Yeah. And the great thing is that technical change that we were just talking about earlier is something that the administration can do upon
We
that.
just need to remember to do it.
Okay. I was just asking because you list the titles, and it mentions about just listing titles and not names.
Yeah.
And then the name is listed, so I just wanted clarification on that.
I
Those
think
are
we're
my,
trying to avoid redundancy too.
makes sense. Thank you.
And the reason I know Nikki said this, just to restate, the reason these are so meaty is that we're being asked to rescind the other policies, so this stuff kind of made its way in here, and it's just kind of a behemoth. The other thing that we did in these three was try to maintain consistency, because there was a lot of check boxes and a lot of 10 days or, whatever. And so, if reading through these again, anybody sees any inconsistencies, just flag those. I think we were going cross-eyed at the end, so.
That's fair.
So I appreciate the time. Does anyone else have any questions on that first section?
Are we on 1422? Sorry.
So I think
Yeah, we're on
looking at the
everything in that.
non-discrimination
It's fair game,
one.
anything.
Okay.
Non-discrimination
Okay.
update.
So I'm on 1422. It's the part about breastfeeding. It's on page 5 in my packet. And so you said that we lifted that language from the policy we just passed not too long ago, right?
Correct.
One thing that I didn't think of before when we discussed this, but it occurs to me now, is there any kind of signage on these rooms do we need to require any kind of signage, or does it not matter? Is it just one room, or is it just wherever there's private place?
Yeah, I mean, that actually very much varies based on what school you're in. Like Colonial Hills would have very different space than a new high school has when it comes to a private space.
Just curious about that part. That's the only question that occurred to me.
Okay, thank you. And then that takes us to the transportation supplement, which, again, thank you to Tracy. The reasons that are set forth here as far as why those changes are needed are pretty self-explanatory. And I will just note that 416201 is a new policy that we have not had previously.
And that was necessitated because that option was not available for transportation previously. So I think, Trent, you said it's not an option that we currently exercise. We appreciate the ability to do that in the future if we need to, but today we don't utilize that type of transportation.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. I would just say if we ever do that, we would want the ability to drug and alcohol test those who do that, just like we do anybody who drives a school vehicle.
Right. Makes sense.
And this policy says just the presence of alcohol, right? It's not, there's no metric attached to that, like point whatever, it's just simply presence is found. Am I understanding that correctly?
162.
Yeah, I believe that's true. That would be dictated by the state and federal regulations, I believe.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sure it's probably more strict for CDLs, motorists, it's 0.08
I think
or
CDL
whatever
is
it
like-
is, but yes. So just the presence. Okay. Good to know.
And then at the very end of that section, just noting that there were a few that had to be amended due to House Bill 54.
Yep.
I just had one question on 8600. So actually, let me go back to 4162.01. So it says board discussion on here, new policy. Is the recommendation that we don't need to adopt this policy at this time because this is not something we do now?
No, I think the recommendation is.
Is to do,
Do adopt it, okay.
so that we have the option.
Yep.
Got it, okay. Just want to be clear about that. For 8600, it talks about food for medical reasons on the bus. And it's not checked. And I was just wondering, is that like a safety reason?
It is allowed. We did not feel it was necessary in board policy.
Okay,
Yeah, we didn't
Got
feel
it.
like we had to limit it candidly to medical reasons.
Yeah.
right, okay. Makes sense. That was my only question about that.
I will say as well, the one thing that we haven't seen, we talked about the reviewing the bullying and harassment. There are two policies that candidly I committed to sending it to legal to combine, to see if they recommended combining it into one. It's two policies with Neola. The language kind of steps over each other and it gets really convoluted. I have not sent that yet, but I will. And so that will be coming as well. That one was one that we really wanted to make sure we got right, and that it was clear what our intent was. So that will be coming as well. You didn't see it in this policy, but I think that this, we're just going to see policy forever, so.
Yes, as always, I appreciate the time that you guys take to really like dive into these. I mean, just reviewing it, just for this discussion, I was like, whew. So I know that you guys take time, so I appreciate that, and I always appreciate Tracy putting all the work that she does to put that together. So first reading and then the second reading will be at our next meeting. If we have any comments or information in between time, we can discuss it at that time. Okay? Thank you, guys. Moving on to reports and announcements, Superintendent's report, Dr. Bowers.
Yes, thank you. I do want to thank the board for recognizing the work that Tracy does on board policy. Because I do think when that was assigned to Tracy, it was one thing and it continues to grow. And, you know, when we look at 127 pages, that means she's gone through all 127 pages. And I think there was 100 and some pages, a month ago. And so she does a tremendous job, and I just appreciate that you guys recognize that. And I know that she watches these board meetings to see what you said about board policy. So maybe not live, but at least the next day she watches. So from a superintendent report, as you know, our mission in Worthington Schools is to empower a community of learners who will change the world. We work through that through our 4 key vision statements, and so this report's always set up in that way. So our first vision statement is to maximize every student's potential with diverse opportunities. Just wanted to point out that Worthing Way Middle School science teacher, Erica Height-Susan, an 8th grade science teacher, has been named the 2025 Teacher Leader of the Year by an organization called Grow Next Gen. This award honors educators who elevate science teaching statewide, advocate for modern relevant curriculum, and connect lessons to real-world agriculture and industry. And so they said about Erica that she uses the Grow Next Gen standards aligned lessons in her classroom, connecting students to Ohio's researchers in agriculture context. She mentors other teachers by sharing her successful strategies at conferences and through regional forums, and she embodies the infectious curiosity and actionable enthusiasm that makes for great teaching. So we just want to say a congratulations to Erica, and we're proud to have her working in Worthington Schools. Our second vision statement is we want to provide a safe environment where every student can grow intellectually, emotionally, socially, and physically. This week, we just wanted to say a thank you to each of our Worthington schools who hosted events to honor our veterans. Literally hundreds and hundreds of community members joined us across the district for these important recognitions. We sincerely appreciate the service of our veterans and really the thoughtful effort our schools put into making these events meaningful for community members. So that was really cool this week. Our third vision statement talks about consistent communication and dialogue with our community. As you know, it's on everybody's calendar, but just a reminder to our public that our Fall Family and Community Resource Fair is tomorrow evening. It is here at the WEC from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., and it's designed to connect families with really valuable resources in our community. So there'll be an opening and a welcome followed by 20-minute interest sessions. So families will have an opportunity to go to some different interest sessions. We're going to introduce a series that says, "Help My Kid Won't." And if you have kids, then that is applicable to you because there's a won't for all of our kids. So practical tools for managing challenges like screen time, establishing bedtime routines, and improving attendance. And then there will be multiple local organizations that will be present to discuss their services and programming to help their families. So we're hoping people come out tomorrow night, 6 to 8 here at the WEC. And if you are hearing this right now, invite a friend. We'd love our community to be here. And then our fourth is that we'll be responsible and transparent with our community resources. Obviously, we heard a really exciting presentation about our high schools and that project and the way it's moving forward. I want to continue to say thank you to Jeff and Tim and their leadership, and then really all of our families. People ask all the time, and I say I am constantly thankful for how adaptive our kids and our families have been through this process, because we are asking a lot to rebuild schools or build new schools while we utilize a site is very, very unique, and that's going really well. The other thing I just wanted to point out is on the other end of the educational spectrum, kindergarten registration for next school year is open. So right now, families who have a student who wants to start kindergarten next year can begin the registration process. That can happen on our district website. If they just toggle to Worthington Schools through the Google machine, it will get you there, and just click on enrollment. You can start the process. If anybody needs assistance, if they stop in the Worthington Education Center here at this building, we're absolutely willing to help because we want our students in kindergarten next year. Mrs. Davis, that's my report.
Thank you, Dr. Bowers. And we have a table at the event tomorrow. I'm very excited to meet and greet community members and, engage in that way. I'm excited for it. Treasurer's report, TJ.
Okay, based on the concerning discussion last week that we had about possibly moving me up in the lineup to bat first, I decided to switch things up tonight. I could bore you and tell you that the financial report for October is available and will be sent to you guys this Friday. It agrees to the 5-year forecast, so there's not much variance because we just updated the 5-year forecast. I could also anger you and tell you that the property tax bills that we have been discussing are now with the Senate Local Government Committee for hearings this week. But instead, I'm going to share a story that hopefully is an uplifting story. Now, Trent may have already shared this in an email, so please disregard that if you read that. A gentleman in my Rotary happened to mention to me that the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce was having their career fair that week, and so I simply relayed the information to the folks in our AAPL department. I had nothing really to do further than that. But then I received an email from Ben Rule that I'd like to read to you. I didn't tell Ben this, hopefully he's not mad at me. I wanted to circle back and thank you for sharing the connection with Christian Espinoza and the career fair organized by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We were able to gather a group of 18 students to attend the fair. All of the students spoke Spanish. I can honestly tell you that it was pretty impactful, even a little emotional, to see a group of students who have often been identified as a language deficit, now in a situation where every employer in the room valued their first language. It was powerful for kids to speak in Spanish with a rep from Owens Corning or Franklin County or Aflac Insurance, and to realize that they have an asset that is desirable. So I want to commend Ben and our AAPL team. They continue to do a great job connecting students to the business community, and I think the larger lesson for all of us adults is to start looking at the strengths people bring to the table rather than their perceived weaknesses. So, Ms. Davis, that is my update. Hopefully that solidifies my cleanup role.
Well done, TJ, well done. Because first of all, that made me very teary. One, I love Ben Rule a great deal, and I appreciate all that our AAPL team does. That's amazing. Yes, more of that, please, and thank you. I don't even know what to say to that. Well done, TJ. Good job. All right, well, goodness, that was good. Okay, moving on. I am going to move on to board committee reports and announcements. I will start with you, Jennifer.
Of course, I have to follow TJ. It brought a few little tears. That was such a good story. So I have an update tonight on the library trustee search. As my duty as library trustee, I get their agenda every month. And I always enjoy reading through it. It's very fun. It talks about their community engagement. And at the end, it has all of the, any communications they've gotten, notes from patrons, and it's always very positive and very fun to look at that. When they have their budget on their agenda and approved, we then need to approve it, but TJ always knows that's going on and make sure it's on the agenda. So there's really no duties for us. And then the thing that I work the most on with this, and it's just a little bit of time, is they choose a trustee once a year. They put all the announcements out, gather the applications, research, do the interviews, and then once they're done, we then need to vote on that. So this year I worked with their governance chair, Joe Savramuto, too, which I'm probably getting that wrong, but he's been really great to work with as the trustee. They had 14 applications this year, which is quite a bit. They think that it may partly be due to their change in tenure because of the budget bill and changes. Their trustees serve 4 years instead of 7, so they think that may get some more interest because that 7 years always seemed a little overwhelming. But they interviewed 6 of those, And they are really searching for someone that maybe lives in the Park Library or Northwest Library area, because those areas are not really well represented on their board right now. So their committee is reviewing those interviews. They're going to present a nomination to their board meeting on the 18th. So TJ, on the 19th, I would assume that you will get the name and can pass that on. So that is my library update. Thank you.
Joe used to run with my running group. We
So
talked
you
about
could probably say his last name.
we talked about the library on our very long multi-mile runs.
Yeah.
I only have one thing. It wasn't really a committee, but Kelly and I were invited to attend a roundtable at the resource pantry. And the goal of that was kind of in the wake of SNAP benefits being potentially cut, just bringing representatives from across the community to network and talk to each other. Toya and Rob were there. Rob's on the board, of course. So Kelly and I were really doing a lot of listening just to kind of understand. But I wanted to surface a few things just so kind of we are all aware. I learned a lot just kind of listening to Nick and the discussion around the table. There were faith leaders, some nonprofit leaders. So it was just really nice to kind of have a space to have that discussion. And I think everybody knows this, but just so everybody knows, the resource pantry serves every zip code that the district is in. So it is our whole community. It's not just, even though it's Worthington by name. But something I did learn is they will serve anybody regardless of zip code one time when they're in need of food, and then help them reach out and find the resources that they need. So that's a really helpful thing for all of us to know. If we have families that have other family members that need immediate help, they will do that. And for community members that have challenges with either transportation, or if they're homebound, we have delivery services. They also offer the opportunity to designate a proxy to pick up groceries. So I continue to be impressed with all of the thoughtfulness that goes into all of their programming. It's a big deal. So they're a fantastic resource. That said, just hopefully we're gonna see a resolution and people will continue or get their benefits soon. But last week in one day, they saw their average visitorship go from 200 to 271. So it's going up a lot, and a lot of new families that have not had to access the resource pantry previously. That said, when we donate, they're much needed items that they always list on their website are things that they can't really get at a cheaper rate. But things above and beyond that, the general figure is one of our dollars will go for about $5 for them, because they are able to scale their through their networks. So just so everybody knows, they have a ton of programs for families in need at Christmas, gift giving, things like that. So I know people are in the community always looking for opportunities to give back, either to donate money or goods or whatever. And so that would be a good place to start there. And then just Nick highlighted the need. This community, he said, this community is really amazing, especially in times of need, and everybody comes together and they've seen a lot of resources donated, a lot of money donated, but then we have to remember when that kind of goes away that there are still a lot of families in need in our community. And so to continue to think about that ongoing donation when it isn't the headline. So I really appreciated the invite, and maybe Kelly can add to that, but that was my update.
You did a very thorough job. I won't have anything to add to that. All right, Amber, I'm sorry, were you finished? Okay. Amber, do you have an update?
I do. I was just checking to see if the House was on the floor yet. You mentioned the shutdown and SNAP, and it looks like, I think that it's coming tonight, the vote, but they're not on the floor yet. So Kelly and I were at Thomas yesterday. We had a student listening session, a vibe check, and just a great group of students. And I wasn't in the last Thomas session, so I don't know who was in that one, but I guess the conversation centered around the counseling services. So that was kind of a continuation of what we heard. So Ms. Price was there, and she talked to them about the services that are offered, which was kind of eye-opening to a lot of them. They didn't realize that there were some of those services. We talked about with the new construction and how now in the floor plan, it's just the center of Thomas is going to be the counseling center right in front of the great big cardinal, so it's going to be easy to find. Talked about maybe even possibly having the next vibe check in there in that new space so they can see what it looks like and just kind of, maybe just making that more accessible, normalizing, reducing any kind of a stigma around, getting services there. So it's kind of the objective. We talked also about, the male students and how maybe they are a little bit more reluctant to seek those types of services. And Toya, called on the gentleman in the room to kind of help, help navigate that situation in the future and how can we encourage all of our students when they need it to get those services. So it was a really good discussion, as it always is. I do feel the students beginning to relax and open up, and I really do think that consistent group is really making a big difference in the discussion. I think, so I'm loving that. I also wanted to share with you all, so OSBA's conference is this coming Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Normally the president goes to delegate assembly. Kelly's not able to make it. I'm going as her proxy and as the proxy for the board and the district. So I just kind of wanted to share sort of what's on the agenda so that we're all on the same page. This will be my first time at delegate assembly. So I've been reading all of the materials that they've sent out and watched the video talking about it, but just giving you a little bit of a briefing on what's coming up. So they're looking to amend what do they call it? The platform, right? Yeah. And so there are 8 amendments that have already been submitted in advance, and then there will be 3 from the floor. And the 8 amendments are, they're local control, career tech, insisting on transparency in charter school funding, school meals. The 3 amendments that are being presented from the floor, though, they are amending the student and learning section, and specifically the racism and equity plank. So there's 3 different amendments. One is from Berea City, and I apologize not sending these out in advance of the meeting. I'm just kind of absorbing everything myself right now. I can send them out, but I think that would be the one that would more align with our district, and Kelly and I have discussed this and she agrees too. The other 2, they're almost identical. They completely rename the racism and equity plank with excellence in education and equality for all. There's just a lot of other, what I think are just kind of problematic languages. And so I think that there is probably a need for me to stand up and advocate for Berea cities. Just because the other 2, and given the makeup of the state and school boards, I just think that it's going to need some, support. So my plan is to advocate on behalf of that one. I can send that around to you all. Trent?
I just had a question.
Yeah.
So not being familiar with the delegate process.
Yes.
Does the size of your district impact the weight of your vote, or every?
Single vote for each one, is my understanding.
So at some point, maybe we should tackle that, because that doesn't make a lot of sense when it comes to.
Yeah.
So.
And what this is this is a living document. It's constantly amended, and it is conveying OSBA's stance on issues to legislators, policymakers, media, and the public. So it's really their document.
Yeah.
But, they're representing us at the State House. So I feel like it's important to make sure that we at least get on the record with what we think they should be advocating for. So I'm happy to share some information, once I get my remarks put together, I'm happy to share those around. One question I had for everyone who's done this before, can you amend the amendment from the
That's going
floor?
to be my question too.
Yeah.
You can.
You can.
You can. Okay. I thought that I read that in the rules, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's something else that we can consider too.
Yeah,
So.
and I'll look at it when you send it around. I heard from a group that they thought that sexual orientation had been pulled out of that amendment, and so I'd like to look at that and see what.
The Berea or Berea,
Berea.
am I pronouncing
It's
that
still in
correctly?
there. Okay, it's still in there.
It's still in there.
That's fine.
It's of the three amendments, it's the only one
Okay.
that has.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the only one that has
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it says racial, ethnic, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious and socioeconomic
Okay.
inequalities.
Okay, thank you.
No, I thought the edits that they made were strong and consistent with, our policy manual. And
Yeah.
so the other two I had concerns with.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
so anyways,
I
that's
agree.
delegate assembly. That's coming up. There is space for spectators if you really want to hop in. I think it starts is it 2:30 on Monday? 2:00. So there is a spectator section if you really want to stop by, but that will be happening, and then I'll let you all know how it goes next meeting. And that's all I have. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, and I really do appreciate you filling in for me since I'm unable to attend. So thanks for doing that. Nikki, do you have an update?
I have an update. The Worthington Education Foundation met this afternoon, was able to attend the meeting. A few things that I wanted to share, they are going to be at our December 8th meeting, so that's exciting, and presenting to everyone the grants that have been approved. They did vote on those today and discuss them at length. And once again, extremely impressive, the variety of what they are supporting and what has been submitted by our teachers. But more on that on December 8th. There were two other things, actually just one other thing that I wanted to make sure was raised. And there's not a solution here. I just want to share this to plant the seed and you guys can think about it. They recognize the fact that there is a gap in our district with regards to alumni. No one owns that relationship. And as a result of that, we don't have a main database. We don't have, a complete means by which to contact our alumni. And Trent made a great call out during the meeting as well, which is that if we do have a fresh start, a fresh alumni association, a fresh start from that standpoint, we likely need an association for each high school, because students don't associate as being an alumni of a district. They associate as being an alumni of a high school. Obviously, those two associations can work together. So no real answer as to where that should land, where it's going to land. It likely needs to land with a nonprofit versus the district when you think about the fundraising that's tied to that. But I just want to plant the seed that, as they discussed, there is a gap there that we need to think about the best way to fill going forward.
I know you just identified this today, so this is a question that you may not know the answer to, but what do other districts do?
All other districts have, it's usually something that is, don't hold me to this, and Trent, you can jump in. I think it's something that resides with the Education Foundation. Is that accurate, Trent?
I don't know the answer to that. What I would
Okay.
say is the districts that the WEF finds functioning organizations like themselves have alumni networks.
Okay.
The challenge is, and what I stayed and talked with them about afterwards, is multiple high school districts have a different challenge than.
Sure.
So there's strong
Than a UA
foundations
or-
in Bexley
Yeah.
and Upper Arlington. Colleen on that board, who was the director of Westerville's Education Foundation, who's now on the Worthington Foundation board, would say Westerville has the same challenge that Worthington had, which is doesn't have a database, doesn't have, so we'll need to continue just to investigate what that looks like. But, Worthington had some sort of an alumni association, primarily for people that had been out of school for about 30 years.
Okay.
What we've missed is that gap since we went to 2 high schools. And, it's, you think that like you become superintendent and there's going to be a file that you can access with all the graduates and all their numbers. That's just not, it's just not there. Like,
Yeah.
So, that would help the WEF quite a bit. So Nikki captured it really well, which is, it's just something on our radar, not sure how it can be tackled. And we haven't found a model in a multi-high school district.
But there's
But,
nothing today that would preclude them from doing it. It's just, it's
Well,
a challenging situation.
The WEF doesn't feel like they have the capability in
Okay.
their current
Bandwidth.
structure to
Okay.
do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it makes sense for the district to pick that up.
Right.
Based on other priorities and, challenges that we have legally with public finance and where money goes and if it's raised and, so Nikki captured it, I think, for the discussion well, which is it's a challenge point. They're definitely discussing it. We don't have a solution at this point.
Okay.
But it's good to put it on all of our radar screens.
I think it is critical for 2 reasons. I think one, as we continue to combat threats to our financing, I think it's critical to diversify our revenue streams, and one of those possible revenue streams that obviously we just don't really tap into, but that there's examples in higher ed, there's examples in private schools, and that's the alumni network. And, if we get to a spot where we don't have any state funding, we don't have any federal funding, we've got to close the gap somehow, and nurturing those relationships now are important. Also, I think that it would be great to know where our students go. Like you said, that file where they go and what they're doing would be incredible to know, for just the data of that, the success stories that we could tell if we had that information. How many of our students are, working for Fortune 500 companies or, serving in the military or whatever, just being able to tell those alumni stories more like broadly, I think would be great. So that's mine.
No, very true. And I will just say, anyone who has had a senior, think about, because Dr. Bowers brought this up, like maybe like 5% of them answer the survey of like where they're going. Like it is such a busy time in their lives and there's so much that's going on. I don't know, maybe we do it differently. Maybe we survey them at the beginning of their senior year to say, what is a means by which we can keep track of you after the end of this year? I don't know what the answer is, but there's lots of little nuggets to figure out. And I guess the only thing that I came away thinking was we have to start somewhere. And we don't have to have the whole solution in front of us. So maybe if we as a district think about ways in which we can attempt to secure that information from seniors, ways to keep in touch with them post their graduation, that's just, again, one little piece of a much larger puzzle. But if we can even make some progress in that space, it'll be progress. So that's all.
I don't have anything additional. Stephanie captured the food pantry conversation really well. Very grateful to be at that table and be in that conversation. It seemed like it was really beneficial to the people in the room too, to make those connections and have that engagement. And so I think that's something that was just a starting point and will continue. That relationship building will continue on. So I think that's really good for our district and our region as a whole. And then Amber, you captured the vibe check really well. I loved how the students are engaging. I mean, we've all been in those rooms where the students don't really give a whole lot of feedback. And so I think there's some ownership here because they're telling us what they need. And then Toya did a great job of providing, like she said, Mrs. Price was there. the information that they're requesting. And so they're really taking ownership of that and letting us as an administration and as a board know how it will impact them, like how it will land, what will capture their attention to like make this information that they're saying that they need to the broader audience of the school. So it was really good. Appreciate that time. All right, I'm lost here. Okay, so I'm moving on to actions recommended by the treasurer, routine business, TJ.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the board approve the minutes from the October 27th meeting as presented in closure E1, please.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or changes to the minutes? Okay, TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Abstain.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the board approve the appropriations modifications listed in the agenda. These are cross-object transfers in the general fund that net out to zero.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes,
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
motion carries. Item F, actions recommended by the treasurer, new business.
Thank you. This is our annual resolution in which I recommend that the board continue to authorize the law firm of Rich and Gillis Law Group to represent the district during the next calendar year, 2026, in matters related to property valuation and taxation, including but not limited to filing complaints and counter complaints with the Board of Revision.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes,
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
motion carries.
And then lastly, I'd like to recommend that the board accept the application from and designate as public depository for the monies of Worthington School District for the period 1/1/26 through 12/31/30 for the following banking institutions, Huntington and FC Bank. This is an annual or a 5-year requirement in which we designate banks to hold our deposits.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes,
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
motion carries. Thank you, TJ. Moving on to item G, personnel consent agenda, Dr. Bowers.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda. The consent agenda is items G2 through G7 on your agenda. G2 through G7, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Davis.
Yes,
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
motion carries. Item H, actions recommended by the superintendent, new business.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve item H1. Item H1 is the acceptance of the donations that are listed on the agenda. H1, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve item H2. Item H2 is a settlement agreement that allows us to pay for property damage that occurred. Item H2, please.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes,
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve item H3. Item H3 is also a settlement agreement, this one allowing us to pay a bus driver for a canceled field trip claim. Item H3, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes,
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
motion carries. Are there any requests, questions, or concerns from the board?
I have two things.
All right, go for it.
First is I am unable to attend the AAPL meeting next week. I have a conflict. It's next Tuesday at 1. So if, you don't need to know now, but if anybody wants to go and arm wrestle each other to go in my absence, you're more than welcome. It's the best committee.
It's at 1 o'clock? Oh, okay. Capitol Conference is that same.
Yeah. It is next week. Is it week after?
We changed that due to us.
Oh, okay. I might,
It's the following week, right now that you say that.
is it, okay.
The week of
So
Thanksgiving?
Pause on that, I'll
Okay.
email you.
Okay.
Okay.
I might want to get
It's
out
the
of
best
that.
committee.
Take a break. Gotta go, guys. Okay, so the other thing, with all the stuff that is going on in the House and the Senate in Ohio, is there anything that we think is going to need our attention before our next meeting? Meaning submitting testimony, a resolution, anything like that? Or are we good for another 2 weeks if we have a crystal ball?
There are things going, I'm going to turn to Amber because she
Yeah,
is a lot attentive to it, but I'd have to look at my honesty
It's-
cheat sheet.
It's fair, because they are really trying to push things
Yeah.
through before Thanksgiving. I know that the House, the Senate were on the floor today. I have not had a chance to look
Yeah.
at what all got passed, or what's being sent to the governor yet. I can do a deeper dive.
Okay.
And give an answer to you. I don't have that right now, like anything we need to advocate. I did look at the emails they've sent and nothing jumped out, but
Okay.
the emails don't always give us the full picture. So
Right.
we have Hannah and let me do
Okay.
a deep dive.
Yeah.
And I can
I'll
send
let you
you
know.
Honesty's information. They have a whole list.
I'm on their email, I think I have it.
Okay. Because in
I-
their conversation today, they talked about the potential that they'll go on recess from Thanksgiving until maybe February. And so there could be a
I haven't
crunch to
heard
try
till
to push
February,
things
but
through.
I have definitely heard the crunch,
Okay.
Yeah.
that they're trying to take
Like a mini
all
lame
of
duck.
December.
A little bit, but there are some dates on the calendar in December for them.
Okay.
So there's not quite sure if they're going to do that or not, but
Okay.
there is that potential. But there are some things going through this week and next week, I know. I just don't know what those are.
Yeah, that's fine. I just, since we have a couple weeks, I thought
Mm-hmm.
if we need to do something.
Yeah,
No, good call out.
Yeah. Okay, that's all for me.
thank you. Anyone else have any requests, questions, or concerns? All right. I'm going to move on to calendar. Our next meeting is Monday, November 24th at 6:30. Let's have a presentation on high school options, which is amazing. Our last meeting of the year is December 8th, also on Monday, 6:30 in this room, where we will get an update on CKLA K-5 implementation and middle school pilot. Now, we're having
So President Davis,
WEF presentations
yes. So
is
I
going
was
to
gonna
be
bring
like
that
how
up
we
at
do the
agenda
recognition. Sorry, we're talking over each other.
No, but we're saying the same thing, which is it may make sense for us to move the CKLA presentation to January based on the Worthington Education Foundation coming on December 8th.
Okay. All righty. And then Monday, January 12th, 2026 is our organizational meeting at 6 o'clock, followed by our regular board meeting at 6:30. That's coming up. May I please have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner,
Yes.
Ms. Harless,
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Thank you all for joining us this evening.